All right, good work out there with the guys. Finishing touches tomorrow, and then get on the airplane. And really good opponent, NFC opponent. A really good combination of scheme players. So really great challenge in front of us. So we got to be about our business when you get on that airplane. But with that, I'll take any questions.
Did Denzel come close to potentially playing, or was it just too risky, you feel like?
Yeah, I think, as you know, with every injury, you have to treat the injury, and unfortunately wasn't able to make it this week. We have different guys that will work through there.
He's relatively new
Yeah.
here. I know he played for Denzel the other days. What have you seen from him?
Yeah, has fit in really well, has played meaningful snaps for us on defense and on special teams. Really brings a size element, a speed element, a physicality. So, like what Sam brings.
It seems like the most guys that you've had out for a game. So, how do you feel about having to head into a challenging game like this with a little bit of a skeleton crew in some areas?
Yeah, that's part of the game, Mary Kay, and a lot of what we do as coaches is work through contingency plans and see who's available. And there's always uncertainty going into football games of who may or may not play. So we just work through those things. It's a kind of you deal with whatever's in front of you.
Travion, having been here before, can he be up to speed fast enough to have a role on Sunday?
I think so. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, very intelligent player, veteran. So he can do whatever's asked of him.
Tevin's obviously starting in Wyatt's place. If for some reason Joel and Zach can't go again, who's the option?
We have different options that we've worked through all week, and we'll see what it looks like in the next 48.
I know Joel does everything he can to play, so if he's able to be out there, how important to have that continuity when you're missing
Sure.
the guys?
Yeah, obviously continuity along the offensive line is ideal, not always realistic. But if you can have your veterans out there when you're dealing with some of the injuries, that would be beneficial. But like we've said before, you got to get everybody ready to play.
Some of your questionable guys, do you feel pretty good about maybe Mason being able to get out there?
I think it's hard to say, Mary Kay. I think with all of these injuries, I think you have to treat the injury, treat the players, see how they respond today, see how they respond tomorrow before you can really make a decision.
Go ahead.
The weather element of this game, obviously, you know what it's going to be. How would you kind of prep your guys for, obviously.
Yeah, listen, weather's part of the game. It's the same for both teams. Like I've told you guys before, we deal with elements. We don't control them. So sometimes it's wind, sometimes it's rain, sometimes it's really hot day, sometimes it's really cold day. You have to focus on doing your job regardless of what the elements are.
How was this week different than last week for Deshaun?
Just a continued progression for him, physically, mentally. I think he did a nice job with what we asked him to do.
You mentioned the growth of those QBs in that group.
Yeah, I'd give Deshaun a lot of credit. I'd give Bailey Zappi a lot of credit for. I think there's always value when you get reinforced coaching points from your peers and from your teammates. And I think Tommy and Muss do a great job in that room. But it doesn't hurt to have guys that have started games in this league to answer questions and to provide experiences to our young players.
KT obviously going to start right tackle. Montez Sweat for the Bears. He seems to primarily line up. How much of a challenge, and is that going to be for KT to do? And what has Sweat meant to that?
Yeah, he's a great player. We've played against him when he was in Washington. We played against him when they traded for him in Chicago. I have a ton of respect for how he plays the game. He's big, physical, disruptive in the run, disruptive in the pass. So it's our job as an offense to try to limit him. Not going to be about one person.
When you were in Minnesota, did Bud Grant ever offer you any tips on dealing with the cold?
I could tell some Bud Grant stories. That playoff game, we're playing the Seattle Seahawks in the playoffs outside at the University of Minnesota, and Coach Grant was one of the captains of the game, -6 at kickoff. And he came out wearing a Vikings polo, which is unbelievable, but just sending that message to the team that, similar to what I just said, you just deal with the elements. And he had a way, and we just being there all those years, you heard the stories about not having heaters on the sideline and channeling the Eskimos in terms of how to deal with the winter and the weather and the frigid temperatures. So Coach Grant had it figured out.
At the time.
Pretty impressive. Yeah, he was a great human being. You don't have to hear me tell you how good this Coach Grant was at his job and as a person. But I also remember, he was in the office almost every day. So you'd see Coach Grant at his office, and he'd come in a lot of times during the winter, and there'd be a deer carcass on the top of his car. And he'd go park the car for the day, and the deer would just be there. And then later in the day, you'd see the car go around to the back to the dumpsters, and he'd throw the deer carcass in the dumpster. So I'm an avid indoorsman, so I didn't understand exactly what he was doing, but pretty special to be around him like I was.
Defense that has the most interceptions in the league right now. But what is your conversations with Shedeur been like going into, knowing that you're so prone to taking balls?
Yeah, I mean, as a team, they lead the league in turnover margin. They lead the league in interceptions. Byard's as good as anybody at playing the quarterback's eyes. They have great ball skills at a lot of their positions. Their guys are really good at that. So as a quarterback, you have to understand all those things, and then you have to play your position. You got to trust your eyes. You have to trust what you see, and you have to make accurate throws. We have to do a great job with those throws when we're receivers and tight ends and running backs of securing the catch in those type of situations. But they do a really good job, so it just means that we have to be on top of what we see and then great in the pass game. But you have to also go into this game understanding that you're going to have to do your job really regardless of what's going on the other side.
I know you expect guys to hustle all the time, but when Blake Whiteheart chases down the punt return the 1 week and then that 2-point try the next week, is that something you've noticed and you point out?
Without a doubt. I mean, Blake has played a lot of important reps for us this season over the years. He's a guy that works really hard at his craft. He's one of the first guys in the building every single day. And effort is something that you always point out, and there's effort to be shown on plays like that where things aren't going your way, but you're going to do anything you can to get him on the ground. I mean, Tevin Jenkins at the end of the 2-point play to the hustle. So I think that says a lot about those guys.
You guys brought in Milhurst on the practice squad. Would he be an option for elevation on Sunday?
Potentially, yeah. Those are all things that we're weighing, but good to have Mo back in the building.
Do you have to prepare your guys just for the intensity of a game where the team that you're playing is December football and they're in the thick of the hunt for the NFC North and all of that?
I think our guys understand certainly what our game is versus a really good football team. We respect who they are, but at the end of the day, it's going to be a physical 60-minute football game like you would expect. So I think the guys are excited about the opportunity.
Going back to the cold and some of the injuries, specifically a guy like Joel, how does that factor into the equation? How the cold could impact it.
Yeah, I don't know that it factors too much into the injuries themselves. If the guys are able to go, they'll go. Obviously, when you're talking about muscle injuries, you need to make sure you're keeping those guys warm throughout the game. So that's something that I think both teams will be hyper aware of. But we'll see how those guys respond before we make a decision.
Shedeur's had several weeks of practice as the starter. Is there something you can point to, like during the practice week, just operationally, that he's doing better, or maybe it's going smoother just because you're now in routine?
Yeah, I think it's all of the above. I think the more turns you get at something, the more comfortable you get. You're working with a new center this week, so that's a different challenge in a good way, where you have to get on the same page with Whip and have some dialogue and conversations about certain things that you're doing in a game. So I think all of it for a young player is important. I think it all adds up.
In terms of those guys having the 18 interceptions and the 27 takeaways altogether, how do you make sure that with Shedeur that he can maintain his ability to go downfield with the ball, but also just being careful with the ball?
I think that's our job to design a game plan and then our players to go execute it. Listen, this is a very, very good defense, like you mentioned, leading the league in takeaways. We understand all of that, and we respect that, and you watch the film and you prepare for that. But at the end of the day, we're focused on being efficient and explosive on our end, and when there's opportunities, we'll take them, and if those opportunities aren't there, we'll move on and wait for the next one.